This is just a little book recommendation that I have. I have this book. It was one of the things that I read when I was debating about whether or not this religion was worth a hill of beans to even bother believing in. Let's see. What's it say? Can't really get the whole paragraph in here. The dark side of Christian history. The dark side of Christian history can help us understand the severing of our connection with the sacred. It can teach us of the most insidious and damaging slavery of all, the control of people through dictating and containing their spirituality. This ignored side of history can illuminate the ideas and beliefs which foster the denigration of human rights, the intolerance of difference, and the desecration of the natural environment. Once recognized, we can prevent such beliefs from ever wreaking such destruction again. We can understand how we have come to be separate from the divine. We can begin to heal not only the scars, but the very alienation itself. Hi, it's another early morning video. Okay, I want to read the editorial reviews under this book that I recommend, The Dark Side of Christianity. Over a period of nearly 2 millennia, the Christian Church has oppressed and brutalized millions of individuals. Meticulously researched and courageously written, The Dark Side of Christian History by Helen Ellerbe, I don't know if I said that right, Ellerbe, examines the Church's devastating impact upon human freedom, dignity, and spirituality. Written for the lay reader, that's me, this controversial book is especially relevant today, as the religious right is attempting to assert greater influence in American politics and society. The Dark Side of Christian History presents a compelling argument that the Church's desire to control and contain spiritually motivated its persecution of heretics, its burning of libraries, the Crusades, the Inquisition, and the witch hunts. This dark Christianity has left a legacy, a world view which permeates every aspect of Western society. It is a legacy which fosters sexism, racism, the intolerance of difference, and the desecration of the natural environment. Helen Ellerbe is a researcher, writer, and public speaker living in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's written by the book Midwest Book Review. Okay, so why am I even bringing this up again? I have another person writing me on YouTube telling me how very wrong I am when I say that Christianity showed in recent history, recent U.S. history, such an attitude toward anybody who did not believe in Christianity. I'm trying to sign in here and it's not working. Okay, hang on. I didn't realize I wasn't even signed into Google. So hang on, I'm really kind of back here. See how many times it takes me to sign in. Tell you what, the older you get, the more difficult signing in is. Yes, that's my excuse. Actually, it's morning. Okay, so under my video that I did called Christianity's Glaring Double Standard, I have somebody writing me who's quite convinced that Christianity has not caused great harm and billions of deaths throughout history. No. In fact, I think he says there's only like Christianity, or I should say he says religions. Oh my gosh. Oh, he's written me more times. You know, I really hate reading this guy because then I want to write more stuff and I have more I have better things to do. Let's see, where does he write? Here's one that I have to really, oh, here. I'll make this as simple as possible. See, he's talking down to me, which is just a typical reaction to by somebody who is very arrogant. And this person is very arrogant in other ways too. He says there's no such thing as right or wrong if there's no God in the picture, which, oh my gosh, how arrogant can, oh, it's like, if my beliefs are true, then there's no such thing as right or wrong. Anyway, so he's talking down to me. I'll make this as simple as possible. See, he wrote to me and said that my video is filled with so many errors. He's really glad that it's only had, I think at the time it was like 24 views. So I wrote him back and said, I'd really like to know what the errors are. Could you please enlighten me? So he did. I'll make this as simple as possible. First of all, if you believe God doesn't exist, then there's no right and wrong. Right. And you know this how? TheMullinator. You know this how? Oh, that's right, because your book says so. I see. So because your book says this, you're just going to tell all these people in the world that don't believe in your God that they don't even have any idea what right and wrong is. And only when we have a moral standard, and you're saying that we don't because we don't believe in a God, we don't have a moral standard? Is that what you're saying? What you need to say is, and only when we have a moral standard that's my moral standard, because anybody else's moral standard apparently isn't even, it doesn't even exist. It has to be their moral standard or there's no moral standard. So I'm sorry, I'm never going to make it through this paragraph. And only when we have a moral standard can something be judged as terrible or wrong. Yes. Okay, I'll keep reading. By what standard are you saying slavery in early America are wrong? By my standard, Mullinator. No atheist can defend a moral standard successfully, because if there isn't a God, nothing is wrong. Really? That's just scary. I'm sorry, that's just scary that somebody can believe this. Why is something right or wrong? Because it is. And you know how I know that? It's because I was brought up that way by my parents, and because I have a conscience. And my conscience tells me when something is right or wrong. Why is killing wrong and charity right? By what standard do you establish this view exactly? By my standards that were instilled upon me by my parents, by the dad that I looked up to and have looked up to, even though he died when I was 6 years old. He left that in me very strongly. How the kind of person that I want to be. It has absolutely nothing to do with your stupid book and your imaginary God and this rather, I'm sorry, it's not a very good moral compass, this thing that you go by. And if you read the Bible, if you knew the Bible, you read the whole thing, you read it, really read what Jesus teaches, I'm sorry, it's not a moral standard that I would want my children to follow. So let's see what else. There's one that I wanted to read that is just really, I'm sorry. Okay. Here we go. Actually, if you want to be technical here, according to the Encyclopedia of Wars, Phillips and Axelrod, of the 1,763 major conflicts in recorded history, only 123 of them can be classified as having been fought over religious differences. That's less than 7%. History actually isn't full of bloodshed from Christians, or as your comment implies, because of Christians. 123 wars, only 123 wars. Okay, let's see, in my lifetime, how many wars have there been? I'm trying to think. There's, in my lifetime, okay, there's been the Vietnam War. That was at the tail end. I mean, I was a baby. Vietnam War, and then Desert Storm, and Bush's War. There's what? Okay, let's not use my lifetime. Let's talk about, since the start of the 20th century, there's been, let's see, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Desert Storm, I'm pretty sure was still in the 20th century. Okay, we'll say 6 because I'm probably missing one. I'm not a student of war, and I say that in my video. 6 in 100 years. 6. So he's saying that only 123 of them. You know, I think something can be said for the scale or the magnitude of these wars, because I'm sure some of these wars, of the 1,763 of them, some of them are bigger than others. The one that Nazi Germany, you know, was involved in, there's a lot of people that died in that one, you know. But the point is, a mentality that is created by a religion that actually thinks that it's only 7%, only 123 of them can be classified as having been fought over religious differences. Only? See, I think 123 is a big number. Let's see, if there weren't such a thing as religious differences, how many lives would not have been lost in those 123 little wars? How many lives would not have been lost if it weren't for religious differences during the Inquisition? You know, if it weren't for religious differences, how many lives would not have been lost, you know, during the takeover of this country and the slaughter of the Native Americans, or the enslavery of black people? And I'm sorry, it doesn't take your, I'm sorry, we have to have our nose in the air when we say this, your moral standard to know that slavery and the making another human life property is wrong. It doesn't take your moral standard to know that murder is wrong. How do I know this? Because I have a conscience. Because I have a sense of morality that has been in me since I was a little baby. Since I was taught it by my mom and my dad. You don't pinch people. You don't hit people. You don't steal other people's toys. You don't see me doing that, do you? That's what my dad or my mom would say to me. That's wrong. You don't do that. I grew up with that. I had my sense of morality long before I ever became a Christian. And even when I was a Christian, I was never so arrogant to say that morality came from my religion. That morality would not even exist if not for my religion. I never would have said that, even as a Christian. So it completely blows me away when somebody comes along like this, who says, oh, right and wrong wouldn't even exist if not for my religion and my God. Please. Now, if your God wasn't the God that, you know, if we were still worshiping Baal, would you be saying, well, if it wasn't for Baal, you wouldn't know. I'm sure I'm saying his name wrong, I mean. Okay, let's see. A name that I do know. Zeus. Okay, let's imagine that Zeus is still the current deity. Okay, if it wasn't for Zeus, you would not have any idea what right or wrong is. Does that sound absurd? Well, it's just as absurd hearing me say, I am so in need of coffee. I just got up. I haven't even gotten my coffee. It's just as absurd for me to hear someone say that morality would not exist, that there's no such thing as right or wrong if my God doesn't exist. Hello? So he wrote me some new stuff. I don't know if I want to read it because this could become a very long video if I do. Music Freaking Boy has some things to say to TheMullinator. And Oh, this is one that he wrote 2 hours ago. D, I love how you stated that I showed you stupidity and arrogance. Yet you never listed any examples of the arrogance or stupidity that I expressed. Interesting. Oh, well, thank you for mentioning that, because that's what I'm trying to do in this video. The cat wants to go out. Pardon me, but I'm trying to ignore her right now. An example of arrogance. Okay, I'll let the cat out and then I'll be back. You don't think it's arrogant to tell me that I don't have any morality because I don't believe in your God? You don't think it's arrogant to tell me that there's no such thing as right or wrong unless your God exists? That everybody else who walks around not killing people and not murdering people and not raping people and not conning people out of money, those people who aren't Christians, who don't believe in your God, who walk around and manage to survive every single day of their life without causing harm to somebody else, those people don't have any morals. Those people don't have any sense of right or wrong. Right or wrong never existed before, well, your God always existed. He just always existed, so we can't say that. But I'm sorry, but I think that's profound arrogance to say that I don't have any morality because I don't believe in your God. I think it's arrogant to say that there's no such thing as right or wrong without your God. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, that is an offensive bullshit statement to make, and it's extremely arrogant. I'm the only one in this room that has a sense of morality because I believe in my God. Because I'm a Christian, I have a sense of morality. But you people, there's no such thing as a sense of morality in you people because you don't believe in my God. That's about as arrogant as it gets. And I'm sorry, but as I mentioned before, writing a paragraph that starts out, let me put this as simply as I can. That's pretty arrogant. If you cannot see how arrogant it is to tell somebody else that they don't have a sense of right or wrong because they don't believe as you do, if you can't see the arrogance of that, then maybe you can see the arrogance of starting a paragraph with, let me put this as simply as I can. Hello? Talking down to me. Why? Is it because I'm a woman? Or is it because I don't know, I didn't go to college as much as you, so it must not be very smart? You know, there's different kinds of intelligences. I think I'm smart even though I have trouble with words. You know, I write. I do have a rather large vocabulary as a writer, but I don't sit there and read my stuff out loud when I should, honestly, because as a writer I've learned that the best writing is writing that people can read out loud without difficulty, and they don't need to run to the dictionary and look words up constantly because that breaks the flow of writing. If you're trying to put somebody into an alternative world, your world, the world you're trying to put together by words, you do not want to throw the reader out of the reality you're trying to create with your words by putting out big words that they stumble over and have to go and pick up a dictionary and look up. This is what I've learned about writing and what is good writing versus bad writing. So I don't write a lot of big words when I write. And the big words that I do write, I do know what they mean, but I don't read my stuff out loud generally. And like I said, I should, because reading out loud is how you catch those big words that are going to make another reader stumble. So, what I'm going off here, but I've been criticized before because I don't know how to pronounce big words. Sorry, I didn't go to college, at least not very much. When I did go to college, I studied art. So anyway, that's it. I don't want to go off anymore. This guy, I feel like I'm wasting my time with people like this. Anybody who says that, how do you know slavery is wrong? Or how do you know murder is wrong? This is somebody who's basically saying, if there was no such thing as God, I would be running around killing people. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the TheMullinator. The Mullinator, if God did not exist, the Mullinator is convinced that he would be running around committing atrocities. He would be enslaving people and murdering people and causing all kinds of harm because there's no such thing as right or wrong without God. And that kind of person scares me, and I really want nothing to do with them. And saying that that Christianity isn't the cause of mass bloodshed in human history is absurd. Yes, it is. Christianity has only been around 2,000 years. How many? You're looking at 17 hundred wars. Okay, how many of those wars happened in the last 2,000 years? Look at the last 2,000 years and count the number of wars there have been in the last 2,000 years. And then figure out what the percentile is of those wars that were motivated by religion. And I suspect the percentage would be quite a bit higher than 7%. So anyway, I'm done. I'm not going to deal with this person. He can right on my, I'm not going to block him. You know, I'm sorry. I'm trying really hard to not block somebody just because they disagree with me. As long as he's not being offensive. And I basically call him stupid and arrogant. So I'm being offensive to him right now. So I'm not going to block him. But I find him demeaning. I find his tone demeaning and insulting. And it really, frankly, scares me that anybody can say that, one, they use the Bible as their compass, as their moral compass. That scares me. Anybody who uses the Bible as their moral compass scares me. I would not let this person, if I had children, I would not let this person babysit. So, yeah, kind of scary that, you know, and that's the thing. Religion poisons everything. It creates people like this, who actually believe that there's no such thing as good as right or wrong, and there's no such thing as morality, without this God who's like the king of immoral acts, the king of unethical behavior. This God, somehow, from this baby-killing, genocidal God, this is where morality comes from? Really? So anyway, this is a long video now. I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks for watching.